Hey guys, it's Skylar Siegfried again. Just wanted to put something out there that's been on my mind tonight. I kept seeing like videos of like military kids, like and their dads coming home and surprising them. And it just like made me think, like, for as long or since I was born, my dad's been in the military. I've always been a military kid, still am, but what's it called? Let's start from the beginning. I was born in North Carolina. About a year after that, we moved to Kansas. And, like, after that, I don't really remember North Carolina or Kansas. But after Kansas, we moved to New York. And my grandparents got a house in New York, and they have one in South Carolina. And in the winter, they moved down to South Carolina. In the summer and spring and fall, they move back up to New York. So it was good. It was like seeing them. They were about 2 hours away, and like I remember, like not seeing my grandparents a lot, but them still being around. But after that, we moved down to Washington D.C., and then that's when it kind of sat in. Like I didn't really get to see him because we don't really got that much family. All my mom's family is in Thailand, and my dad's family, we got my grandma, my grandpa, and then my cousin. He has autism, and he doesn't really socialize. He's very antisocial. He's kind of old. He's about, I think, 35 now. And I got my other cousin, and she's had her fair share of problems. Like, she got into drugs real young, and she got knocked up, and her kid has like some health issues, and she's in financial trouble, and she's always asking my grandparents for money, like saying it was for like medical stuff or for health, and she'd turn around and spend that on drugs. And my grandma found that out, and basically we don't keep in contact with them no more. And it's sad. Like I wish I had more family around. Like, all y'all talk about some, yeah, bro, my cousin this. Like, yeah, that's my family, bro. That's my little cousin. Like, y'all are best friends with your cousins, bro. Like, it's your brother or your sister. And I ain't never had that. I never really had that. I think I've met my cousin, between the two of them, 3 times maybe. Anyway, back to the story. After New York, we lived there for about 3 years. That's where I really remember growing up a little bit. After that, we moved to Washington, D.C. And in Washington, D.C., my dad was deployed a little bit. New York, he was deployed a little bit more than D.C., but I remember moving from like a big-ass house to living in an apartment. It was different. I remember like having to say goodbye to all my little friends and stuff, and then moving to DC and having to start my life all over. Like just think about that. Like leaving the life you have right now behind and moving to somewhere else and having to restart. Like that was one of the fucked up parts about being a military kid. It's having to restart, having friendships and shit. But anyway, after DC, we moved to Washington State, and we really liked it out there. It's too sad. Like, it's too bad that we couldn't settle there, but I'm glad that we settled in South Carolina. After Washington, DC, we moved to Washington State, and then after Washington State, we moved down to South Carolina, which is good because I was around my grandparents a lot. And it's sad, like the reason why we moved down here is so we could be around my grandparents more, because my dad, somehow he knew that they didn't have much time. And we knew they were old, but we didn't know how much time they had. And moved here in 2020. 3 years later, my grandpa passed away. And that was like my dad's always been like my role model, but my grandpa was like my second role model. And like I just remember like getting suspended, and like my grandparents having to pick me up. My grandpa never shamed me for it. He told me how he got suspended growing up, and like I just remember like him always like cheering me up and stuff. Same with my grandma, but luckily she's still around. We still got her. But I remember my grandpa passing, and like I was about 13. I remember the day it happened. We just woke up and he wasn't responsive, and like they got him on life support, and they had like his chest like breathing with the machine. It was like, and it was like the machine like letting go of his breath. And I remember like my final words to him was, "Grandpa, I know you can hear me. I love you so much. Like, please hang in there. I know you're gonna get better. I know you're gonna survive this. Like, I need you." I remember going to my soccer game. I remember I was like, "Grandpa," like I was saying to myself in the car, like, "Grandpa, I'm gonna win this game for you. I'm gonna win this game for you." And I prayed that he'd get better. I prayed that I'd win that game. And I went out on that field and I gave it my all. Like, I literally gave it my all, but it wasn't enough. And like towards the end of the game, when I knew the game was over, it started raining, and I just remember breaking down on that field and crying. I walked over to my dad. He goes, "Hey buddy, we got some bad news." What happened? He goes, "Grandpa passed away about halftime in your game." And that's when it really hit me. Like, he was really gone, and I wasn't able to talk to him no more. I wasn't able to see him no more. I just remember we drove right back to his house where they had already taken him off the ventilator and stuff, and I got to say my final goodbyes, and I remember just grabbing his hand and being like just like thanking him for everything he's done for us. And I just remember like I grabbed his hand and it was just so cold, bro. It didn't even feel like him. Like, it just felt like a shell of a man. Like it didn't even feel real. Like it wasn't him no more. And that's when I really knew it was like he was gone. And I remember going to his funeral, and like I remember I spoke at his eulogy, or no, at his funeral, and I said some stuff about how I really missed him and all that. But after that, like after holding his hand and like feeling that it was really like cold and it was gone, it wasn't him no more. And I remember just looking at that piece of paper from 1944 to 2023, and just like it was that piece of paper that it like really like it really like sold it. Like he was gone. He was just like a memory now. He was just a piece of paper and a memory that I gotta hold on to now. And I remember just like, bro, he was a huge part of my life, and I just wish I got to spend more time with him. Like I have all his voicemails saved. I regret not picking up those phone calls, bro. And that was the one time I ever seen my dad cry. He was I remember him saying like, "I'm sorry, Dad," and that he was gonna miss him, and that he loved him. Anyway, after that we try to carry on with our lives, but keep like still having his memory with us. Back to what I was saying. Like, I remember like being like young as fuck. Like by the time I was 11, like I remember saying like thinking about it. Like my dad was only there for 4 of my birthdays. 7 of them I had to wait till he got home from deployment before I could celebrate it with him. Like I remember one time waiting 6 months because he was on a 9-month deployment. I remember waiting 6 months for him to come home just to celebrate my birthday with me at Chuck E. Cheese. And like we didn't really have that much money. And I'm grateful now that we're in a better spot, but like now looking back at it, we really didn't have that much money. And I'm just glad I got to spend those like birthdays with him like after he got back, because like you don't know if your dad's coming home, especially if they're overseas fighting a war. Especially like my dad, he was out on the field. Like you ain't know if your dad was coming home. So my mom raised me, my sister raised me. She's 10 years older than me, so she gave up a lot of her childhood trying to raise me and my little brother. Like just imagine like being 16, trying to raise a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old with your mom. Your mom's working to help support the family, so you got to give up a lot of your freedom by not hanging out with your friends and skipping out on soccer practices and stuff. Like, I just remember, like, I feel bad for her because she ain't, like, compared to me, she really didn't have a childhood, because her dad was abusive, and so my mom left him, and she married my dad, and about a year later after she married him, she moved to the U.S., and my sister didn't know any English, and having to learn English and make new friends. And then by the time she made new friends, she had to help take care of me and my brother, so she didn't really get to see my dad. So yeah, I feel real bad for her. I feel like I'm partly responsible. I took part of her childhood away. Like her childhood. And so, like I just remember like 1 minute making new friends, and then like having to say goodbye to them. So I remember for the longest time I didn't even make friends because I knew I was just gonna have to say goodbye. So I'm jealous of y'all that I'd say, yeah, we've been cool since elementary. Or like, bro, we've grown up together. Our moms were best friends. Like, we were always at each other's houses and having play dates. Like, bro, I didn't have play dates, bro. I grew up playing with myself. Pause. I grew up playing toys like by myself and like having to entertain myself, because I didn't really have no friends. Even when I did have friends, there was only like 1 or 2. And so like I remember that. And then I moved down to South Carolina, and it was just so different, bro. Like, we were finally like settled. I was scared to make new friends. And I remember like 5th grade, like, I was just trying to impress everyone, trying to make friends, because that's all I knew. You impress people, people like you, they fuck with you, you become friends, right? But then 5th grade we went virtual, and I didn't really talk to nobody. And then 6th grade came along, and I just remember like I wasn't really bullied, but I was left out of a lot of things. Like, I remember like at Courtyard, everyone was playing or talking with their friends, like, and I just sat by a pool by myself. I sat there every day, and I cried until one day one of my English teachers, Mr. Colonna, he came and he sat down with me and said, "Hey, why aren't you playing with anyone?" I was like, "I don't got no friends." And like, he would come and sit and talk with me every day until I got some friends. I remember going home crying in my bed, and my dad coming home, and he'd be like, "What's up, buddy? What's wrong?" I'm like, "Dad, I don't got no friends. Like, I don't have no one to talk to or hang out with or play with." And that was one of my saddest memories, like not having friends. So eventually I did get some friends, because this kid, his name's Byron. He asked me to play. He asked if I wanted to play tag with him, and I did. Played tag with him, and ever since then, just countless friends. But I remember a time when I didn't have friends. I used to sit by myself and watch other kids play and have friends, and I just remember wishing I was one of them. But yeah, I think that's where like a lot of my like antisocial like tendencies come from. Like, I wasn't okay being by myself, but I managed it. Like, I was not okay with it, but I could I could survive being alone. So I think that's where like a lot of my like antisocialness and not wanting to be around people all the time comes from. Like another thing I get made fun of for is like being childish. Like people make fun of me for like still like having like dinosaurs and Lightning McQueen toys and all that. But like y'all gotta remember, like I know y'all don't know this, but I really have a childhood. I was with myself most of the time, so I hang on to things that remind me of like what it was like. So that's an explanation for y'all. But I try to connect with my dad any way I can nowadays. Like I remember he got me into Boy Scouts, and that was something we really bonded over because he liked the lessons it was teaching me, because he knew that he wasn't going to be around all the time to raise me. So he tried to get me into a good program that would like raise me with the right foundation and the right the right lessons and stuff. But now I feel bad because it's like I don't even really want to do it no more, because I feel like everyone in there is weird, and like, I know it breaks his heart because that was something we once bonded over. But one of the things, like I've always been like proud of my dad. Like I always been like, oh yeah, my dad was a D1 wrestler, and he went to one of the hardest schools ever. Like I've always stood by that. I always will gonna stand by that. But like I remember like not ever wanting to get into wrestling. I thought that shit was weird. I didn't like it. And then one day, one of the high school coaches came to the middle school to recruit some people for the middle school team, and I just remember being like, my dad was pretty good at it. Why don't I make him proud? Why don't I try it out? Or tell him I'm giving it a shot. So I gave it a shot, fell in love with the sport. But like the real reason why I fell in love with the sport, it was because it was something for me and my dad to bond over. Like I just remember him like teaching me everything, and like I could tell it brought him joy, like him loving a sport and like him not being able to do it anymore, and me living like it's almost like him living through me, like doing the sport. Like I'm letting the legacy live on. So I really worked hard in wrestling. Like I've been trying. And, like I can tell he's like genuinely proud when I like get an award for wrestling or I do good. Like I remember like my first year of wrestling, I made it to state, and him being like, and I lost, and I was crying, and I was like, Dad, like I'm not good enough. He's like, no, you are good enough. Back in New York, it was rare. Like he never got to go to states as a, like even being like a D1 wrestler before he got to college. He'd never been to a state tournament, so he was proud of me. I just remember him telling me he's proud of me. And like whenever my dad tells me like he's proud of me, like that shit really hits, because I didn't really get that a lot growing up. He's always tough on us. He's really tough on us because he wanted us to grow up right and be able to live by ourselves and handle shit. Yeah, I got into wrestling, and I basically ain't got nothing to talk about. But yeah, it was really hard growing up as a military kid because I was moving around. I didn't really get to see my dad a lot, and he's still working for the military, just not in the military. So I don't really get to see him a lot. He works about 2 hours away, so he comes home on Friday nights. He's home Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes he comes home on Tuesday nights. I don't really get to see my dad often, even now. Like I get to see him more than I did, but still not as often as I should. And like I feel bad for him because he's just trying to make a better life for us, and he's like sacrificing time away from us, seeing us grow as people, to make money to support us. Like he's living in a trailer. He's been living in a trailer for like 3 or 4 years now, up in Sumter, because that's what he's got to do. Like, even when he does come home, he wakes his ass up at 3 in the morning to drive 2 hours away to go to work, and then just to stay up there for the night or the rest of the week or whatever. I'm grateful for him, but I just wish I had my dad around more often. My mom was never really supportive of me either. Like, she's always kind of like hated on the stuff that I did. Like, I like recently, like, we went to my brother's 8th grade graduation, and everyone showed up. My grandma, my mom, my sister, my dad, everyone showed up. My mom was like, "Hey, how come you didn't have an 8th grade celebration?" I said, "Mom, I did. Just no one showed up except for my dad, or except for Dad," and she just kind of like laughed it off. Like, that shit really hurt me. That, like, she didn't really care about none of the stuff. There's always excuses like, "Mom, how come you went to Andrew State tournament, but how come you didn't come to mine?" And she was like, "Because it's bad luck if I go to yours. Like, you always lose when I go." But I lost even when she wasn't there, so I think that was just excuses. I know she still loves me. It's just different. But basically, the message I'm trying to get across is appreciate the time that you got with your family and your folks, because you don't know if they're gonna wake up. You don't know what's gonna happen. They could be coming home to see you, and they get into a car accident. You don't know. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen. So appreciate the time that you got with the people around you, whether that's friends, families, girlfriends, boyfriends. It don't matter, bro. Appreciate the time you got with the people around you, because that's what matters. That's what matters, building connections and relationships. So that's gonna conclude this video for y'all. I just want to come on here and vent a little bit, because I've just been thinking and I need to get stuff off my chest. So it's currently 2:30, so I'm gonna try to get to bed, and I'll catch y'all later. Have a good night, y'all.